Hello and welcome to the Sports Club, a podcast presented by the Jamaica Observer. I'm Daniel Blake. Today we'll be talking about the Reggae Boys as they head into their crucial second leg match against the United States as they seek to qualify for the semi-finals of the CONCACAF Nations League. And to talk to me about it is digital media specialist and sports journalist Brian Pitter. Brian, thank you for joining me.
Always a pleasure, Daniel.
All right, so the Reggae Boys, they lost the first leg at the National Stadium 1-0. They also missed a penalty, Damari Gray, midway the first half. And they will also be without some key players heading into the second leg. But before we get into that, Brian, what did you make of the overall performance, especially the way that McLaren set out his team against the US?
I mean, I think there are many ways we can look at it. For me personally, I'm kind of stuck between whether it was a negative lineup or if he was being pragmatic. Of course, we have to understand that the United States are a very powerful team in CONCACAF, but they're not as strong as they were in previous years. So I think McLaren lost an opportunity to kind of capitalize on a weakened United States team. But if you also take into account the suspensions and, the other missing pieces in our usual lineup, then I would say, Steve, he used what was available to him. But I think we also have to put the entire thing into context as well. He's played 6 matches now, and that was his first defeat. So I think overall there's something that is building. We can see the tactical impression that he's putting on the team. We can see that being played out, but it's going to take some time for the team to actually gel under the system that he wants.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, in my opinion, are overreacting to the defeat because I think if Gray had scored that penalty and it had ended 1-1, I feel like the atmosphere around the team would be different because it wasn't a terrible performance. Yes, we weren't as fluent in attack as we should have. I think the pitch had a lot to do with that because
definitely
every time, for example, when Leon Bailey was trying to dribble, like the ball was like falling behind him.
But then people said Leon is making an excuse by using the pitch. But what the pitch is actually impacting.
Yeah, of course. And you could see some of the American players as well, which is why I think Pulisic resorted to passing a lot. So just overall, the only negative thing I have with that performance was the fact that he went with the 3 at the back formation. No, I don't mind it, but I think putting Amari Bell as the left centre back and having Greg Lay as the left wing back was not the right option for me. Obviously, he was missing Ethan Pinnock, who would have maybe solved that problem. But I think if he were to use this exact same formation with different personnel, I think he would benefit. But I think he won't because he saw what happened in the second half when he introduced Isaac Hayden and Tyreek McGee. But then going to the US is a different beast, and I'm wondering if he's going to take that, same risk, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, but what we've been labeled as in recent months is an away team. And we've tend to perform better away. And a lot of the players after the match, they recall the Canada victory last year in which we lost to Canada at home and then we went away and in their ends we beat them. I think it was 3-1 or 2-1, something to that effect. But we put in a very spectacular performance in Canada, and I think we're capable of doing that again. But one of the worries that I would take away from the game, though, is that McLaren is aware of certain players who bring a certain impact to the team, but yet still they're not starting. Cephas, Kaim Dixon, and McGee. We've seen them performing, especially in the Honduras game. When we won, we saw, Cephas, his turn of pace, it threatens the opposition's defense. Tyreek McGee, the way he's able to control the game in the midfield, and that was our downfall against US. We couldn't control the midfield. So I think going forward, he has to look into the team that he's always put in at the start of the level and see which player is not performing at their best and put one of these guys in the team so we can start the games on the forefront.
Yeah, I think the difficult thing, for example, with Cephas is Leon is back into the team. Damari Gray has been one of our better performers.
In recent games, though?
Yeah, well, yeah. So I guess in his thinking, he's saying, all right, do I drop Demari and reduce his confidence even more, or try to, get him into that top performance we know, which is why I feel like the players also made him take the penalty, because I figured that it would have been maybe Nicholson or even Bailey, but I feel like him taking that penalty was a way of saying, all right, this is how I get my confidence. So,
True.
But yeah, I think the more he gets used to the team, because, for example, he didn't know of McGee until assistant Moran had told him about him. So I think now he's going to probably trust him a bit more. Cephas has proven that every time he plays, he has a burst of pace where he can get by his defender. Sometimes his final ball is a little lacking, but sometimes you just need a man to go by his defender. So I think as time goes on, he'll be able to take those risks. And I think doing it in the Nations League compared to the World Cup qualifiers is much better, because he'll have a greater understanding of it. I do want to ask you about Leon's return. A lot of people feel like, his actions in the past, don't automatically warrant him getting back into the team. But seeing how he's addressed the media, the fans, and his performance on Thursday, what have you made of his return?
I've always viewed Leon as a patriotic member of the football team. I think that's evident. He's always wanted to play for Jamaica. However, for persons who who don't normally stand for certain things, we can understand and sympathize with Leon when he's expressing his discomfort with the federation. But I think the way in which he's gone about it is not necessarily the right way. As one of the leaders of the team, you kind of have to have some sort of responsibility. And he hasn't taken that responsibility before. I think he's had discussions with the manager now. And it's up to the manager really whether he thinks Leon is good for the squad. And he obviously thinks Leon is good for the squad. So he's one of our best players. We can't leave him. we just hate him or love him. He's probably the best Jamaican that we've ever produced. So we just need to find a way to integrate him into the squad. And I think he needs to come to a conclusion where he needs to just accept that certain things will not be adjusted right now. And he needs to do his part to see how best he can elevate the quality of Jamaican football.
Yeah, the only thing with Leon that I think this might be his last strike, and I say that because before he played for Jamaica, remember the whole discussion about I think it was Kyle had to play at one point.
I don't think that was his word still.
No, that's what I'm saying. So that cloud was over him.
Exactly.
He was accepting that cloud.
Yeah.
And then there was
the
issue recently with the suspension and him doing that interview with Jay Frey. So I feel like a lot of people who were maybe fans of him are on the fence now. People who were on the fence before are not on his side. So I think he's in a stage where he needs to not only perform but almost give off that I'm a great character. I'm committed to this team, because when Jamaican fans hate you, them really hate you.
Yeah.
And I think you don't want that atmosphere, especially when you play at the National Stadium. He loves his country. There's no doubt about it. I'm not going to be like other people and question that, because he clearly does. But it's just a matter of how he approaches playing for the national team in the future, because I think he may end up losing a lot of fans.
Yeah.
So the second leg, this evening at 8 p.m. in Missouri. We'll be without Ethan Pinnock again, Bobby Reid. Michael Antonio has lost his passport apparently, along with Kaheem Dixon. But the surprise, Ravel Morrison, he's back into the team. Recently joined a club in the United Arab Emirates, and he's back. How much of a difference do you think he can make knowing his talent?
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole world knows Ravel's talent. He's one of those footballers who everyone knows never really fulfilled his potential. But for Jamaica, he has put in some really impressive performances. Whether he's at the level right now that he can be a game changer for us, I'm not so sure. And it kind of worries me that Tariq Magee just getting back into the team. And now Ravel Morrison, who seems like he's going to just slot right back in, he's going to be benched again. Tariq Magee, that is. So I think it would be best if we go forward with Magee and maybe bring on Ravel in the second half, or if we need a goal, like later down in the match. But I'm not quite sure if he'll add anything different to the team, but he's definitely someone of quality. It won't hurt to improve this midfield. I mean, we really need a lot of improvement. So it won't hurt to include Ravel Morrison into the squad, but whether he can start, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows Ravel's talent, which is why he always seems to get a club, obviously not at the top level. The creativity has been an issue, which is why I feel like he's started to trust Magee more. I think Casey Palmer, who is probably our most creative outside of Magee, he ends up playing in a very much deeper position, and I think that
limits his game.
Yeah, and then it causes him to sort of lose confidence, and people sort of criticize him when he's actually playing out of position. So I think if Ravel comes in, I think he can do a job. My only thing is his conditioning. No disrespect to the UAE second division, but I don't know if that prepares you to play against the United States.
I agree.
But then based off raw talent, if he can give a 20-25 minute cameo where he's able to provide whether Leon, Demari, Cephas, Shamar, I think that he could be an asset. But knowing that we're playing on American soil, I believe we only have 3 wins in the history against the United States.
So it was in what,
2019 in a friendly. Our last 7 games we haven't even gotten the best of them. Do you think that the mental part will be important, knowing that this is the USA, this is CONCACAF's the best, and we haven't gotten by them over the last few years?
I don't think it will block us from potentially winning, because, as I said, the United States aren't the United States that we're used to, and the team will know that. Steve McLaren and his staff will know that, and I assume that is the basis in which they'll go into the match and mentally prepare the team. This is a weakened USA team. If they didn't score, if Ricardo Pepe didn't score that goal, it would be 0-0. Like, they didn't create that much chances against us. So, and as I said, Jamaica has been predominantly better in away matches. So I definitely see us scoring. Whether we can score enough to win, we'll see. But I definitely see us scoring, and I definitely see us challenging the Americans tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sound pessimistic, but I
understand why.
It's
the hope that kills,
Yeah, I've had 20 years of optimism, plus I'm an Arsenal fan, so
that's
but I do think, based off what I saw on Thursday and just the talent that we have, especially that second half performance, I think that might be better. But then when you play the US in USA, and it's no coincidence that they sent this all the way to Missouri. They have these mind games that they play without explicitly saying it. But I do believe that, unlike Canada last year, the deficit isn't as great. We aren't going into -5 or 10 degrees weather. And having the form that we've had in away games recently, I think we should be able to win the game and make the semi-finals of the Nations League.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want people to think that I think Jamaica has been playing really well. Like, the performance that in the first half especially was terrible. But I know that as Jamaicans, mentally, if we are motivated for something, especially this Reggae Boys team, if they're motivated to prove a point, they can achieve it.
Yeah, in terms of McLaren's future, whether he loses tonight or wins tonight, what have you made of his performances so far, even off the field, how he's dealt with the players, with the media and so forth? Are you more optimistic that the 2026 dream is a reality under him?
I think I'm impressed with the way he deals with the media. I'm impressed with the way in which he's taken on the Jamaican culture, and he interacts not just with the media but the people. of Jamaica. I love that. We saw something similar with Hallgrimson, but then he kind of went into his shadow because, you know, Hallgrimson is not that type of character. Steve McLaren is. So I'm impressed with that. Whether he can win over the Jamaican fans on the field, I'm not so sure. There have been some chatterings in the football spaces that he seems to prefer the English players over the Jamaican players. We've heard that argument before. So whether that kind of narrative is going to impact his tenure as a Jamaican coach, we'll see. But I don't think he's done anything bad so far. We see the progress, though small, we see it. So we'll just have to continue to support him and see how best this team can.
Yeah, and one thing I like about him is that tactically you can see what he's about. I feel like other managers, they kind of try to fit into what was already done, whereas he's saying, you know, we want to be very position based, we want to basically be on the front foot, and I like that he is going to be very attacking. I felt that was one of Hallgrimson's issue, is that he was very stubborn in his 4-4-2 formation, and it didn't make us very fluent in attack. So I do think that McLaren obviously has an easier route compared to managers of the past, knowing USA, Mexico, Canada already qualified. But it doesn't mean that it's a walkover, because you still have Costa Rica, Panama to deal with, and potentially Honduras. But from what he's done so far, I'm pleased with it. It's just a matter of, as you say, you know, falling back into your shell or your shadow and start to do things your own way and end up, you know, losing it. But once he keeps the players on his side, I'm a little bit more optimistic than usual from that.
As I say, it's the hope that kills. So just I try not to be too optimistic with this Jamaican team, because we've been through so many heartbreaks in recent years. But yeah, I agree with you. There's a lot more to look forward to with Steve.
All right. Final thing, score prediction for later.
I guess the optimistic Jamaican is gonna say 2-1 to Jamaica, but then that would leave us to go to what, extra time. I said 2-1. And they will probably lose on penalties.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think that, I don't know. There's an optimism to me that says we're going to win 2-0. There's a part of me that says we're going to win something like 3-1. But then there's the realist that says it's going to be close and it probably end 1-1 or USA win 2-1 or something like that. But I guess the only thing we have to do is wait and see.
Yeah. But I want to win still. So
yeah,
it'd be good to go to the semi-final.
Yeah. Yeah, because we could have flag just up the road.
Yeah,
Brian, thank you for joining me, and hope to have you on the show again soon.
Definitely.
All right, that was the Sports Club presented by the Jamaica Observer. Remember to continue to watch on our YouTube channel, like and subscribe to our page. Until next time, see you again.
What?